So my name is Sarah Landy. I'm actually the administrative officer for the Department of Systems Design Engineering. And the administrative officer is basically the person in the department who oversees all the administrative functioning like budget, human resources, that kind of thing of a department. Why I'm not a grad coordinator, you ask? Unfortunately, we are short-staffed in our grad department right now. Anna would normally be the person that you would go to as an MASc PhD student, but she is taking care of our MN students today for their presentation. So I'm going to do the MASc PhD presentation for you. I do have a background in graduate studies, so I'm not coming at this from nowhere. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask as we go along. Don't worry about interrupting me. I may repeat the question because we are recording this session, so we want to make sure that everybody can hear what you're asking. So the first thing I'd like to do is our territorial acknowledgement. You will probably see this in a number of meetings and classes that you attend. And this is to acknowledge that we share our knowledge on land that has seen human activity for thousands of years. We reside on the traditional territories of the neutral Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples. We have deep gratitude and appreciation for the care that they have given our land. Our Waterloo and Cambridge campuses are situated on the Haldimand Tract, the land granted to the Six Nations that includes 6 miles on each side of the Grand River. As engineers and architects, we are committed to meaningful action towards truth and reconciliation. It is only through this process that we can work towards building a better future for generations to come. So this is going to be our agenda for the next hour. We might go a little faster, we might go a little slower, depending on how many questions you have, which is totally okay. So I'm going to start with our Welcome to Systems Design Engineering. In the fall 2023 term, we're going to have approximately 280 graduate students total in the program. The bulk of those are PhD students at 104. We have 89 MASc students and around 87 MN students. The department has 40 faculty members, including 8 prestigious research chairs and 17 full-time staff members. Systems is housed across 8 buildings, but administratively we're centered in E5 and E7, which this building is E7 and the adjacent building is E5 on the 6th floor. All right, technical difficulties in progressing our slides here. There we go. So the Systems Design Graduate Studies Office, as I mentioned, is composed of Anna, who you've already met, that did this morning's session, and she is the Academic Service Coordinator for our MASc and PhD people. We also have our new mystery person who will hopefully be joining us sometime in the next month, as soon as we are able to hire someone that will take care of our MN students. Anyone who's here on the IVGS program, and they'll also handle permission numbers for systems design courses. So if you're in a situation where you need to enroll in a course that requires a permission number in systems design, they would be your contact. And then I believe you also met Professor Abdel Rahman. He is the Associate Chair of Graduate Studies, and he is our faculty member that oversees the systems design graduate programs. When contacting the Systems Design Graduate Studies Office, please make sure you're using your Waterloo email address and providing your 8-digit student number. While we like to think of you as more than a number, sometimes students have very similar names, or the name they use when they email us is different than the name on Quest. So the number really helps us identify and make sure that you are the person we think we're talking to. And that's just for your security and privacy more than anything. So here at the University of Waterloo, if you're new to the University of Waterloo, we love our acronyms. We throw them around quite a lot and often don't notice when other people don't necessarily understand them, especially new people. So these are some acronyms that I think will be really helpful for you to know as you progress through your program. So SYDE, or some people say it's SYDE, is Systems Design Engineering. We have our BME, or Biomedical Engineering, side of Systems Design. So BME is very frequently referred to. FOE is Faculty of Engineering, the faculty in which our department resides. The EGSO is the Engineering Grad Studies Office, and you'll hear about that a lot, especially as you prepare to degree complete, and they're the faculty level graduate office. Next, we have the GSPA, Graduate Studies and Postdoctoral Affairs, and they're basically the university level graduate office. You won't have too much to do with them in general, unless you need a letter or something specific at the end of your program. Typically, we liaise with the GSPA on your behalf. You don't have to worry too much about contacting them. ACGS is the Associate Chair of Graduate Studies, so that would be Professor Abdel Rahman in our case. And then we've got our program acronyms, MASc, PhD, and MEng. The GSA is the Graduate Student Association. I believe you've met some of them already. SOC refers to the schedule of classes. That's a website on the university webpage that tells you when and where classes are offered. AIM, or AIM, is the academic integrity module that you're all required to complete as part of your program. I'll talk a little bit more about that. And then COMP, which technically I realize is not an acronym, it's an abbreviation, but it is an important one to know for our PhD students. And it refers to your PhD comprehensive exam. So if someone's asking you about your COMP, that's what they're asking you about. So let's talk about courses and the general expectations that you can have for your courses. So each course generally consists of 36 hours of in-class lecture and is weighted at 0.5 credits. This is really confusing for people that come from other institutions that use a 3-credit system or a multi-level. Sometimes credits are worth 7 or 8 or 6 or 2. It just depends on the course. Pretty much everything you're going to see through systems design is a half-credit course, and that is a full course. So when I say you need to take 3 courses, that's 1.5 credits. Okay, so don't get confused or disheartened when you see in your transcript that it's only half a credit. It really is a full course. It's just the weighting system that Waterloo uses. Most courses in systems design, for obvious reasons, include a design project or some kind of course project. So you can expect to have coursework or project work as part of your courses. As part of your final course evaluations, there may be a written supervised final exam that could be weighted at 50% or higher. So just be prepared that depending on the course and the instructor, you may have very heavily weighted final exams. Courses can also have alternative means of evaluation as well, such as projects, group work, presentations, that sort of thing. It's just going to vary course to course, so I want you to know that there's no standardized expectation in that respect. So during the course enrollment period, which we are currently in, you can adjust all your courses through Quest. This period is going to end on September 26th. After September 26th, it's very difficult to add a course because we are 3 weeks into term. You're going to have to convince someone that you are going to be able to catch up on that coursework and be able to enroll in that course and complete it successfully. To drop a course, you're going to get what we call a WD, or a withdrawal, on your transcript reflecting that you were enrolled in that course for a certain period of time and dropped it after the add drop period. WDs are not punitive. They're not, you can't have them removed. You can't petition them, nothing like that. They're just an indication on your record that you were enrolled in a course and you dropped it. They don't affect your GPA. They don't affect your ability to get into a PhD program, anything like that. It's just, it's a tracking system we use. So don't get too upset if you wind up with a WD on your transcript for whatever reason, whatever happens. Some courses require, oh yeah. They don't affect you negatively. Mm-hmm. No, they know, they understand. You know, I can tell you personally in my experience, when I was an undergrad, I had WDs. I went on to do graduate school, no problem. They understand. It's just part of student life. You drop a course for whatever reason. Maybe it wasn't what you thought it was. Maybe your course load was too high. Whatever it happens to be, it happens. It's just part of university life. Okay, so permission numbers. So some courses require permission numbers, and when you go to enroll in those courses, they're going to say department consent required or something to that effect. For systems design courses, you can get permission numbers from emailing the SYDE meng@uwaterloo.ca email. That will be to whoever our new person we're going to hire is going to be, and they will provide you with a permission number for that course. If it is a course outside of systems design or biomedical engineering, you're going to have to go to that department or that course instructor to get that permission number. We don't have permission numbers for the entire university, just the courses we host. If you see that a course is offered about the 500 and the 600 level, you should be taking it at the 600 level because the 500 level is the undergraduate equivalent of that course. Okay, so always aim to take 600, 700, and 800 level courses wherever possible. In some cases, an add drop form needs to be completed. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a sec. And your enrollment status is not affected by the number of courses you take. And this, I think, is a real sticking point for a lot of research-based students. So if you have to take 4 courses and you finish them in your first 2 terms, and then you're going on and doing exclusively research, you are still paying full tuition as a full-time student because you're actively engaged in research. Even though you're not taking courses, you are still doing research and pursuing your degree requirements, which is why you're paying tuition. So whether you're taking 3 courses, 2 courses, 1 course, or no course, it's the same. Okay? That's right. That's right. So in terms of courses, like I said, it's strongly encouraged that you're completing your course registration within that first 3-week period. So everything up until the 26th of September, and that's all your add and drops because everything can be done yourself on Quest. You don't need additional approvals, that kind of thing. After the 3-week period, you're going to start getting into needing additional approvals. You're going to need department approval and you're going to need faculty approval. And the faculty can be real sticklers about it. So it's really important that you're really being mindful about the courses you're selecting up front. Add drop forms are typically used when you want to enroll in a course for extra or audit. And if you're enrolling in a course after the 3rd week of term. But in terms of extras or audits, what the difference is extra means extra to your degree. So if you're an MASc student, you've taken your 4 courses, and there's this other course that's come up and it looks really good, you're thinking of going on to a PhD, you maybe want that course to be available to you to transfer when you start your PhD, you would take the course as extra. And what that means is it won't affect your GPA, it won't even be counted in your GPA, and it won't be counted towards your degree requirements. But if you then move to this institution or another institution for your PhD or further studies, you could then transfer that course to that program with the permission of the program and all that kind of stuff, and use it towards that degree. Okay, so that's when it's an extra. Audit is basically where you sit in on the course. The course instructor will give you, okay, if you want to audit my course, you have to do X, Y, and Z, maybe assignments 1, 2, and 3, but you don't have to do the final exam. You do all of that, they give you an audit at the end. There's no grade, it doesn't affect your GPA, it shows up on your transcript as AUD, and it's basically the equivalent of sitting in on a course. Okay, audits cannot be converted to credit or anything like that. They just, basically it's like you did the course but never got a grade. Okay. What you want to do is check your Quest account to make sure that you are properly registered in all your courses. So if you submit an add drop form, we will process it for you and everything, and we'll let you know once it goes through. You should be logging onto your Quest account and checking to make sure, yes, I am enrolled in this course, and yes, it does say it's for audit. It's all good. If there's any issues, then you would come back to Anna and say, okay, I'm enrolled, but it's not for audit, or I'm not enrolled at all, and we'll follow up as necessary. Okay, pay attention to when lectures and exams begin and end. A lot of grad students, I know they want to go home, especially at Christmas time or at the end of the year in April, but don't make your travel arrangements until the final exam schedule has been posted, because if you got an exam on the last day of class and your flight is 2 weeks before that, you might have a big problem on your hands. So just make sure that you're waiting to book your travel until that final exam schedule is released. Usually that's in October, the end of October for the fall term. So of course, as engineers, you have your technical courses, but you can also take courses that are more than just technical, and that's addressing your soft skill development. So consider taking courses that bolster your English language skills or your communication, or if you want to go into academia, We have options from like the Center of Teaching Excellence that does workshops on how to be a professor, how to teach. There's English language courses on reading, writing, speaking, and listening for if that's something that you struggle with. There's a grad studies course on preparing for university teaching. SpeechComm offers public speaking and intercultural communications courses. These don't count towards your degree requirements in engineering, but like I said, you're not being charged per course. So if you want to take those courses as extra or audit or whatever, then you can take them and they will look good on your resume. They will look good on your transcript. They're not affecting your GPA and you're not paying extra to take them. So it's a really good opportunity to build some additional skills if that's something you're interested in. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about research area and program requirements. So for our research-based programs, we have 6 programs total, including our collaborative programs in nanotechnology and aeronautics. And we also have a BME biomedical engineering graduate program coming, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, next year. And so if you're here for your MASc or your PhD and that's something you're interested in, you would be eligible to transfer into that program once it's started. Or if you finish your MASc and you want to pursue your PhD in that program, that would be an option as well. So I'm just highlighting that that's forthcoming. There are 8 possible research fields that you can study under. You would have been admitted with one at the time of your admission. It would have been in your offer letter. If you're not sure what your area of specialization is, it is in your offer letter. It's typically dictated by your supervisor, but it can change. So at the time of graduation, you can say, I want to have a specialization in X. And if your supervisor and the people that review your thesis agree that, yes, you have done the work to qualify as a specialization in that area, then you can go ahead and we'll have that on your transcript. If you're like, no, I just want to stay general systems design, that's okay too. You don't have to specialize on your transcript in a declared way. So for our MASc students, you are required to take at least 4 courses. Of your 4 courses, 2 of them can be outside the Faculty of Engineering. And that means the faculties of math, health, science, and environment. Generally, 99.9% of the time, there are no courses offered by the Faculty of Arts that are going to qualify for an engineering course. So like I said, if you want to take, Intro to French, you are more than welcome to. You can do that, no problem, but it's not going to count as one of your courses for your degree requirement. So like I said, all courses have to be relevant to your degree. No more than 2 or half of your courses can be taught by your supervisor. So if you have 2 supervisors, that could mean 1 each. It could mean 2 from 1 supervisor, but no more than 2. And this is really important because we want you to have that diversity of education as part of your experience. A passing mark is a 65, but you want to maintain an overall average of 70%. In the MASc program, you are allowed to take 1 advanced undergraduate class, which is a 500 level, towards your degree requirements for credit. You're not required to do this, but sometimes there's technical electives offered to our undergrads that are really appealing to some of our grad students, and you are welcome to take 1 of those. You can take more, but they would not count towards your degree requirements. Students who are in collaborative programs, so the nanotechnology or the aeronautics program, might be required to take some additional courses depending on their background. And again, graduate course credit transfers from other universities is possible. If you started a degree somewhere, didn't finish it, want to transfer some courses, it's subject to approval. And the key thing to remember if you want to transfer courses is that they must not have been used towards a previous degree. So whatever transcript you're going to provide to show that you took this course is going to have to in some way indicate that this course was extra to your degree. Okay, so whether on a UW transcript, it'll say XTRA. On other transcripts, it just says extra. It's got a credit weight of 0, whatever it is, something that indicates it is extra to your degree. This is not the norm. Most people do not come in with transfer credits, but it is an option available that I want people to be aware of. And of course, all course selections should be discussed and approved by your supervisor to make sure that you're following and taking the courses that they think are most important for the research track you're on. In addition to your coursework, there are 4 milestones that need to be completed for the MASc program. And actually all of these milestones apply to the PhD program as well. So there's the academic integrity module. You should see that in your Learn profile already on our online Learn system. And basically that's all incoming grad students have to take this course. It takes about an hour to 2 hours complete, and it's basically talking about academic integrity in graduate studies. You have to get a minimum of 75% in the course to pass it, and you have to do it within the first 8 weeks of term. So it needs to be completed by November 1st. Otherwise, you will get a no credit received, and you won't be able to move forward in your degree program because you'll have that no credit received. Hi, come on in. The seminar attendance milestone. So every full-time graduate student in an MASc or PhD program needs to attend 4 seminars per term, and part-time students need to attend an average of 2 seminars per term. And the seminars you attend are listed on what's called your term activity report, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Then you have your seminar, which is the seminar you are going to present yourself. And it's not an oral examination of your thesis. It's a chance to demonstrate the progress you have made on your research and get feedback. So maybe you're getting ready to go for a conference and you want to do a dry run of your presentation in front of a group of people. That would be a great opportunity to do your seminar. Or if it's just your last term enrollment, you're getting ready to wrap up, you want to share your research with everyone, that can be your seminar. The thing with the seminar is it has to be publicly announced. It can't just be your little research group of, 5 people and you do it and that counts. We announce it, we encourage people to come, but it can really be done anytime after your first year. And then for the master's students, you have your thesis. And this is a topic that is jointly determined with your supervisor, and it must be read and approved by 2 additional readers from within the department, the faculty, people of relevant experience and knowledge in the area you're researching. Okay. The thesis does not have a defense for a master's level student. There is no defense for MASc students. You just have your seminar and your readers reading your thesis. That's it. So that sometimes gets people confused a little bit. There is no defense at the master's level. Yep. It's been around for 2 or 3 years. Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. So where's the list of that? So the department website will post under the events section the calendar of events coming up, and they don't have to be student seminars. They can be invited guest speakers. They can be from other departments. They don't have to be systems design student seminars. There's just any seminar given by anybody on campus that's relevant to the area you're researching in. So if the AI Institute, for example, has a guest speaker coming and you attend that seminar, that's totally credible and it counts, no problem at all. As long as your supervisor's like, yep, that's good. That's all that matters to us. Right, so when you do your term activity report, which happens at the end of every term, there's a box and you list all the seminars you've attended, and your supervisor signs off on your term activity report and they say, yes, this person did attend these seminars. And we're not doing any more kind of checking than that. Yeah. Okay. On to the PhD. So PhD students, 3 courses instead of 4. And only 1 can be taken from outside the Faculty of Engineering. Again, faculties of math, health, science, or environment, typically not the Faculty of Arts. And all courses must be relevant to your degree requirements. In this case, no more than 1 course may be taught by your supervisor. So that's an important thing to keep in mind at the PhD level. Only 1 taught by your supervisor. Passing mark again, 65, overall minimum of 70. You are not permitted to take undergrad courses at any level towards a PhD. Okay, they must all be graduate level courses. If you're in a collaborative program or a direct admit PhD, which means a PhD without completing a master's, there are additional course requirements. And if you're in that situation, I recommend you go meet with Anna and she can outline the best way to map those courses out for you. Also, transfer credits are allowable for PhD students, and all course selections need to be approved by the supervisor. Yep. Yeah, recently, I mean, anytime kind of within, typically we say courses expire after 5 years. If your master's degree was completed 15 years ago, the department might require you to take some additional courses. It sort of depends on your situation. Were you in industry? Are you coming back from industry? But many factors go into that. But if you were admitted into the PhD 2 program, which is our standard PhD program, 3 courses is what you're required to do. It would have been clearly outlined in your offer letter if you were required to take additional courses. Okay, so again, our PhD students need to do the academic integrity module before November 1st with an average of 75% or higher. Same seminar attendance milestone. Also need to give a seminar presentation, which is not the thesis exam. That's not the PhD defense. The seminar is separate. A lot of PhD students use them if they're planning to go to a comprehensive. Sometimes they use them as like a dry run for their defense, and they just condense it a little bit. Different strokes for different students, which is totally fine, but you would work with your supervisor to figure out when the best time to do your seminar would be. Additionally, PhD students have to do a comprehensive exam, and this is before the end of your 4th term of study. And this is where your committee is going to evaluate your research proposal as well as your background preparation for the area in which you are proposing to study in. So say you're going to go into artificial intelligence. What's your background like? How far can they push you to see that you're going to the end of your knowledge? It's basically, they're not trying to fail you, but they want to know where's the limits of your knowledge. What do you need to work on? What do you need to grow? What do you know really well? That's what they're trying to ascertain, okay? New, starting last term, so this term as well, there's an annual progress meeting which needs to be done with your advisory committee after your comprehensive exam. So basically twice after your comprehensive exam, once per year, you need to meet with your committee and review your progress, talk about where you're at, where your thesis is going, pain points, pride points, that kind of thing, that are going to help you move forward with your research and not wind up in a situation where, you know, PhD students are supposed to be done in 12 terms and you're in term 18 with no end in sight. So this is really to try and help keep our PhD students on track. And then, of course, at the end, we have the traditional PhD thesis and oral defense, where you write your thesis, you get ready to present it. There is the oral defense. Your committee has read your thesis. They're going to ask you questions. And hopefully at the end of that, you will be a doctor. Okay. We will each term be offering degree completion preparatory workshops. So if you're thinking, oh, you know, that sounds like a really daunting task, when you are ready to degree complete or start thinking about degree completion, attend one of these workshops, find out what's involved, make sure you've got all your ducks in a row, and that will really make the process a lot smoother for you. So term activity reports I mentioned, they're a requirement for all MASc and PhD students. They are completed online at the start of every term for the previous term. So right now, for example, we are doing the term activity reports for the spring 2023 term. So if you were not a student here in spring 2023, you don't have to do a term activity report, but next term, in the winter, so in January, at the beginning of January, you will be required to do one for fall term. Okay, you will get prepped by an email to your Waterloo email saying term activity reports are now open. Please complete them. You should do this for a number of reasons. One, it's a record of your accomplishments, those seminars you're attending, any awards you've won, papers you've published, all those things you get to brag about in your term activity report. It allows us as an administrative body to stay up to date on your progress. You work very closely with your supervisor. We don't necessarily hear from you as much and want to make sure that things are going well. It also helps us identify issues of concern. If something's come up, you're having issues with your supervisor, or there's a problem in some way, we can help you work through that. The other reason you should do it is that you will be required to withdraw if you do not do it. It is a program requirement for everybody in engineering, not just systems design, everybody in engineering. So if you don't do it, we do send you a required to withdraw letter, but you will get umpteen million reminders before we do that. But that's just a heads up on that. We do have a graduate symposium, which is held in the spring each year, and registration information goes out. It's open to all systems design students in any program in any year. And if you present at it, it counts as your seminar presentation. And if you attend as an attendee for a session, I think a session is 4 presentations and they're only like 15 minutes each, that counts as one of your seminar attendance for the term. If you attend for the whole day, it counts as all 4, but they're broken down by area of research. So you can attend the one for the areas you're interested in, get seminar credit attendance for those, or present yourself and get your own seminar attendance. So that's great. There's also pizza, coffee, all the good things that make coming to these things worthwhile. Program extensions are something that I don't want to say they're common, but they're common enough that students who don't finish by their program completion deadlines need to extend their program. So for MASc students, we expect you to be done within 6 terms or 2 years. And for PhD students, we expect you to be done within 12 terms or 4 years. People don't always hit that mark. Typically more at the PhD level, people need extensions, but it happens at the MASc level as well. And so what happens when you need to extend your program is an email will go out to you and say, hey, you're over your program time limits. If you're not going to degree complete, you need to fill out this form. You fill out the form. It's an online form. Your supervisor signs it. You say, this is my plan to degree complete. It gets reviewed by your supervisor, the department, and the faculty, and it gets usually approved. If you are beyond 3 terms of extension, so for example, for a master's student, if you're going into term 10 of your master's, we're moving into university level approvals, where the university is going to start to review your progress. And for PhD students, if we're getting into term 16, 17, 18, same thing, we're looking at university level reviews of your progress to make sure that you're on track, because we want you to be successful, but we also don't want you to be, belaboring a process that doesn't need to be longer than it should be. There's also the option for PhD students to extend your comprehensive. So if you cannot finish your comprehensive exam by the end of your 4th term, you will get a similar email that will shoulder tap you to say you need to apply for a comp extension. Typically, these are only approved in extenuating circumstances where something outside the student's control has happened and their comprehensive exam has been delayed. I think a lot of the things that PhD students get hung up on is that their comprehensive exam should be like a definitive, they have results and proofs to show the committee. And you don't need results and proofs to show a committee. You need concept and you need background knowledge and you need a proposal. So I think a lot of students historically have been delayed because they want to get data to support their idea. And you don't need a whole study's worth of data to support. You just need something to show the viability of what you want to do. So I think that's something important to keep in mind as well. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about funding, everyone's favorite topic. So you guys are really fortunate in research-based programs that you have a GRS as your primary source of funding. GRS stands for Graduate Research Studentship. MASc students receive a minimum of $18,000 a year or $6,000 a term, and PhD students are going to receive $26,000 minimum a year or $8,666 per term. International PhD students who don't hold external funding are also going to be awarded some additional funds to help offset the tuition differential for PhDs. And then, of course, we have TA-ships. And TA-ships are a great way in engineering to subsidize your GRS. In other departments or in other faculties, GRS is part of your guaranteed minimum funding. It would be part of that $18,000, but in engineering, it's on top of that. So they're valued at approximately $6,000 per term for a full TA-ship, which is 130 hours. You have to complete the TA training to be a TA. That's offered every term, usually around the reading week. So I would imagine there'll be an announcement coming up about this term's expectations very soon. And because we offer TA-ships as additional income, they're not guaranteed. So not everybody wants a TA-ship, but unfortunately we don't have enough TA-ships for everybody who does want a TA-ship. So we try to spread them out as best we can amongst as many people, as many students as we can. And systems students are given obviously preference for systems courses, but it's not always feasible. There's also external funding opportunities like NSERC and OGS, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. And there's financial need funding. So if you find yourself in a situation where you are in desperate financial situation and you need fast help, there is emergency funding for students at various levels in the university. And I encourage you to talk to Anna. She can point you to those resources that you can apply to help get those fundings. And they do come pretty quickly. Like the university is very good when someone is in a situation like that they're able to support them. So quickly about NSERC and OGS. So NSERC exists at the doctoral and master's level. It is a competition, unfortunately, run only for domestic students. So if you're an international student, you do not qualify for NSERC. But if you're a PR or a citizen, it's open to you. There's separate competitions. The doctoral competition is underway now, and the master's competition will start in December. All of the PhD level awards can be held in Canada or internationally. So if you're a master's student finishing up, you want to start your PhD, you can apply for an NSERC through Waterloo. I'm not encouraging this, but if you get it, you could go to Leeds or something and do your degree there if you got an NSERC award. So they can be held at other institutions internationally around the world or within Canada. So that's a really great perk. And then we have our OGS and what we call QE2 awards. And those are provincially funded awards that are open to both domestic and international students. Those are due in February 1st. The competition announcements for those will probably go out in December, but really gear up in January. Those are one-year awards. They're a great stepping stone to the bigger awards like NSERC. Like I said, when the announcements come up for those, just read them really carefully and apply. It's a great opportunity, especially if you're thinking of going into academia to get experience in proposal writing. So talking about your research in a way that a lay person who's not an engineer, who's not a systems design engineer can understand. So it is your supervisors can help you with this. There's boot camp writing workshops, there's GSPA workshops and videos on how to do this. So I do recommend it as just a good experience for you as a grad student, even if you don't get the funding. So I'm going to quick talk about research ethics and IP rights. So at the University of Waterloo, I'm sure you all know this by now, that we are a creator-owned IP institution. So if you invent it, it's yours. The university doesn't own it, which is very common in American universities and other universities abroad. But that can get a little bit murky when there's multiple people working on a project. So it's really important that any intellectual property that you're coming in with or that your supervisor is coming in with is clearly identified at the time of the research when it starts. If you're collaborating with other students, you need to have like an IP agreement in place that you know what's going to happen if this becomes a sensation, what's going to happen if we patent this and it takes off. You know, whose IP is it? Who are the creators? Who are the owners? That kind of thing. And it just prevents things from getting messy down the line if you have these conversations up front. And of course, when you're doing research at all times, research ethics must be followed. And your supervisor will guide you through the ethics approval process. So when you're doing your research, Your research is considered a joint effort between you and your supervisor. So again, any preconditions or restrictions on the research should be communicated to you up front. And typically we see this, for example, when you're working with a company. So a company has sponsored your professor's research to do X. The company wants to own whatever you create at the end. You're not going to be the intellectual property holder of that because the company has funded the research. They're retaining the rights to that research. That should be communicated to you up front when you start a project, that this is a project for Company Z and they are going to take all the R&D back with them. But maybe you get the right to publish on it, which would be pretty cool. So just make sure you're having those conversations with your supervisor, especially when industry sponsors are involved. And then I just want to mention copyright regulations very quickly. In research, if you're teaching, if you're a TA or a sessional, we do take copyright very seriously at the university. Make sure when you're copying something, you're doing it within the boundaries of the Copyright Act. There's a library website here, which you can refer to. I'll give you more information on that. So basically, if you're planning on photocopying a book, refer to this website first, just to get the information you need. And that's all I'm really going to say about that. So academic relationships. So the student-supervisor relationship obviously needs to be professional in all matters, including research and academics. Every effort should be made to maintain a professional relationship, even if you get into a disagreement or a conflict. You are here because you are very, very smart people. Your instructors and supervisors are very, very smart people. Academic discourse happens. People have disagreements on the best way to do something or the best method or whatever, and that is totally okay. We encourage that, but it needs to stay professional. We can't start throwing names and talking badly about people. It's all academic discourse. It's very positive. It's healthy, but we want to stay professional. If for some reason something goes downhill very quickly for you in this respect, especially with your supervisor, don't wait till it gets really, really bad. Come talk to Anna, talk to the Associate Chair Grad Studies. You know, they can give you tips and tricks. They can mediate for you. They can do whatever to help you get that student-supervisor relationship back on track, because that's going to be a huge part of your academic life and you want it to be a success. And I'm not saying this happens a lot, but if it does happen, and it does happen sometimes, we want to support you through that. We also have a service on campus called Accessibility Services, and this provides academic support to UW students who have both permanent and temporary disabilities. So temporary disability might be you broke your leg, you broke your arm, and you can't take notes and you can't type. Permanent disabilities might be a learning disability or a mental health problem that prevents you from achieving at the same level under the same circumstances as your classmates. And so what the Accessibility Services does is they facilitate accommodations for students through their office. So if you're someone who maybe needs additional time to write a test because you have test anxiety, or maybe you need a note taker or a special kind of computer or something like that, register with Accessibility now. Don't wait until 2 days before exam starts because they're going to be flooded, and just get in their queue so they can set you up with whatever you need to be successful in your courses. Lots of students write in accessibility in that they go there because they need additional time to write, or they need a quiet place to write for whatever reason. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing to be ashamed of. It's all confidential though. None of your information is ever disclosed except with the people that need to know it, such as the course instructor, and they don't disclose what your accommodation or your disability is. They just say so-and-so needs such and such an accommodation. That being said, don't make backdoor deals with your instructors. There is no check and balance for that. There is nothing to, your instructor can say, sure, I'll give you an extra 10 minutes, no problem. And then on the day of the test, they forget and you don't get your extra 10 minutes or whatever. And, you're out of luck. So, really do go through accessibility if this is something you feel like you need. And if you want to register with them or just find out more information, we have the link on these slides. And of course, all these slides will be made available to you after the presentation. And of course, with any relationship, you need to take care of yourself. So mental health issues are common amongst grad students. It might be your first time away from home. You might be away from people, food, culture that you're familiar with, any number of reasons. Grad studies is hard. It's, you know, it takes a lot out of you. And so you want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And so we have tons of resources on campus and off campus that you can leverage. You know, you've got your fellow students, the GSA, the staff here in systems, your supervisor, but then we also have counseling services. We have an international students office, tons of multinational student groups. So if you're from a country and you're feeling a little bit homesick, you know, connecting with people from the same region as you might be really beneficial. We have a women's center. We have GLOW for the 2S LGBTQ plus community. We have health services, Good to Talk hotlines, which run 24/7 if you need to talk to someone imminently. But no matter what, confidentiality is paramount. You go to any of these places, you talk to any of these people, your information will be confidential unless you give them explicit permission to speak on your behalf. So if you go talk to Anna, something's wrong, you want to talk to her, you just want to vent, you don't want her to do anything. You say, I don't want my name going out. I don't want you to talk to my supervisor. I just need to talk to somebody. That's okay. We won't talk to your supervisor. You don't even have to give us your name and who your supervisor is. We will take your confidentiality very, very seriously. Okay, so last couple slides we're getting into, time is marching on. So every week, I hope you attended the one yesterday. We have a graduate student social hour in 6111 in the E5 building. There's coffee, tea, and snacks. It's a great opportunity to meet other grad students from other research areas. We have special appearances by various faculty members, grad coordinators, people of influence across campus. Anna's looking to start bringing puzzles and games for people to play as well. We used to have a puzzle in the kitchen that everyone did. It was a lot of fun. And then also about once a month over the course of the term, we offer grad student skill workshops. These also include pizza, big selling point. And you gain the skills and insights for different things. So ones we've done in the past, there was a career-centered development workshop for networking and job searching. The department librarian came talking about how to use the library services to leverage your research and your coursework. We had some systems professors talk about navigating careers in industry and academia. This is especially good if you're not sure where you want to go after your degree. Anna's got a ton of great stuff lined up, so just stay tuned. Email announcements go out about that whenever they're coming up. Last 3 slides, promise. So just some important administrative stuff that didn't sort of fit anywhere else in the presentation. Ensure that in your Quest account, your address, UW information is all correct. And the reason I stress that is because a lot of students forget to change their address when they start, and then all of their tax forms get mailed to them to the wrong address, and then they can't file their taxes and they have problems and things like that happen. And you can always download them off Workday, but you don't really want your tax information floating around out there either at a place you don't want. So check your address, check your email, check your phone number, check and make sure it's all been updated since you moved. Also make sure that you're reading emails from the SYDE GSEC inbox. That is Anna's primary communication. So anything that's coming, she's sending you because it's important. It's student events, it's award notifications. It might be something directly personal to you. So please do read those as they come through. Keys in office space. So if you're a full-time student, you are entitled to office space here on campus. So there is a form, a systems design graduate student space request form that needs to get filled out in order for you to be given space. And that's signed off on by your supervisor. Your supervisor will typically suggest what space they want you to allocate you to, so we don't have you all over the place. And you will get keys and fobs from the department for your office space. You need to complete safety training, the mandatory safety training, which is linked in that form before you get keys in office space. And again, it's only for full-time students. So if you go part-time, inactive, or you degree complete, you need to make sure that you're returning your keys and fobs to the main office of the department. Please, please, please don't give them to your supervisor because we never see them again when that happens. So please make sure you just take that moment to return them to the office when you're done your program, is typically when students would be returning their keys. The student portal is a great resource to make your life easier. It's a mobile-friendly portal to access information about different workshops on campus, I really like it. It tells you how long the wait time at the Tim Hortons at the Davis Center is. And across campus, if you'd like to go to the SLC, it'll tell you how long the wait times are for food there and that kind of thing. It's got lots of great little features and widgets that you can use. So check it out if you haven't yet. We do have a grad student mail room located in E5, which is right across from Anna's office. And we're in the process of improving it. We're getting some new furniture in there, that kind of thing. It just moves at the speed of the university. And all students have access to it. So if you're a full-time permanent research-based student, you will be assigned a shared mailbox in that space. That being said, I don't recommend having your personal mail sent here. Because when the mail comes, it gets sent to a central sorting place, and then they sort it and they give it to us, and then we sort it, and then it eventually hopefully makes it to yourself. So a lot of handling of mail. Where things go missing, I don't recommend sending important documents here. Check it regularly. If you're going to the grad student meet and greet on Wednesdays, it's a great chance. Check your mailbox, grab a cookie, grab a coffee, all in one go. They're very close to each other. There are refrigerators and microwaves in E7 and East Campus 4, which are provided by the department for grad students. It's a privilege. I don't clean them. Nobody in the department is cleaning them. So don't leave things in the refrigerator. If something spills in the microwave, clean it up. If you need cleaning supplies because something has spilled or whatever, we're happy to provide them for you. Just talk to our department assistant at the front desk and they're happy to get that stuff for you. That's not an issue. Very last slide. Student Success Office, great resource for students. The Writing Center is there. They offer workshops on time management, study skills, professional development. The Immigration Office is there for any international students. So if you have questions about work permits, postgraduate work permits, renewing your study permit, getting a study permit, any of those things, they can help you with that. Those people are licensed by Immigration Canada to give you that advice. So they are a great resource. Current Student Pathways is a web page off the university's main web page for students. And it's got links to everything you could possibly need as a student. And I recommend you check it out simply to see there might be things there that you didn't even know were there. So a great opportunity to check some stuff out there. And then grad student program changes. So for some reason or another, students need to change their enrollment to inactive or part-time. You need to change your supervisor. You need to change your program, course ad drop forms, all that stuff located on the GSPA's forms website. When you're submitting a form to us, make sure that you are getting all the signatures above the Associate Chair Graduate Studies. So that could be your supervisor, yourself, maybe a course instructor, maybe it's your committee. Whatever, we will take care of getting the Associate Chair Grad Studies signature. We will take care of getting the faculty level signatures for you as well. But anything before that, we need you to get before you send it to us. Okay, that was death by PowerPoint. I apologize. It was a lot of information in a really short amount of time. But does anybody have any questions? No, so the Faculty of Engineering, the expectations is a Faculty of Engineering requirement. So if you're teaching for another faculty or another school, they might have a different requirement or no requirement. You should check with them. But typically, if they've already offered you a TA contract, that would have been outlined in your TA contract if it was a requirement. For the Stratford school, I'd say probably not. Yeah. They tend to not worry about engineering requirements as much. So you can double check with the faculty member you're TAing for, but I don't think so. Yeah. Yeah, so you can take a TA, if you can get a TA-ship in another department, you're more than welcome to accept it. There are limitations in that, for example, you cannot work more than 20 hours a week as a TA, RA, anything like that. If you're working more than 10 hours, there's a special form you have to fill out that you get your supervisor to sign to say they approve you working more than 10 hours. So the guidelines are they don't want full-time students working more than 10 hours, but they kind of look the other way up to 20 hours if your supervisor is okay with it. So if you get a TA-ship in biology and it's 160 hours or 200 hours or something, that's not a problem. Some departments allow external TAs, some departments don't. It just depends. And you have to contact them directly to figure that out. There's not sort of, unfortunately, a central TA hub where you can apply and get considered for everything. Yeah. Okay, so I've had this question come up a couple of times now. So when you're a TA, there's a TA time allocation form that gets filled out at the beginning of every term with your faculty member that you are TAing for. And basically they say, okay, you're going to spend 10 hours on marking, 30 hours on tutorials, this much time on prep, that kind of thing. And they outline it all, and it should equal whatever your TA-ship is, 130 hours, 65 hours, whatever. And that gets submitted to the department. There has also historically been a form, which I just learned earlier today, that students could fill out to track their hours every week with their supervisor. Problem is, recently our website underwent a migration to a new platform, and that form got completely mangled in the migration, and it's not working right now. So we are working on trying to restore it. But it's not through Portal, it's not through Quest, it's just an online form that you would fill out. And once we get it up and running again, which might truthfully not be this term, we will let everybody know. But for right now, just have an open communication with your course instructor about the hours you're working to make sure you're not going over. Any other questions? Yeah. So basically, it would be your supervisor that's going to review your coursework. There's no formal approval process. Basically, if you can register for it, you can take it. That being said, there are parameters, such as it has to be a grad course, it has to be within Faculty of Engineering or one of the science, math, that kind of thing. I don't think you were here when I said, like, you can't take French 101 and have it count towards your degree. It has to be relevant towards the work you're doing. And so there are parameters within, and if you're ever not sure if a course is going to count, just send in a quick email or come talk to her and she will be able to advise you for sure. Usually. Don't use that as like the full stop, foolproof method. Like, first go to your supervisor, say, I want to take this course. If they say yes, then there's probably a case to be made for it. If neither of you is sure, go talk to Anna. Yeah. Anybody else? All right, well, that's great. Thank you very much for attending. We were a small but mighty crowd, but we got this recorded. We got this recorded for anybody who wasn't able to attend. Thank you.